We have our council meeting this evening. We do have to hold a public hearing in reference to a conditional use request from Funk Brewery. At this time, Mr. Labenberg is planning on attending this evening, but he will be late. However, Mr. Brown will not be attending our meeting this evening. So Mr. Shipsta is here, Mr. Anders is here, Mr. Holsafer, Mr. Barrett, the mayor, myself, Mrs. Gilbert, Borough Manager Mr. Pepe, and this evening we have Attorney Sturba. So this is in reference to Funk Brewery. And I will turn this over to Attorney Sturba.
Who is the applicant for Funk Brewery? Do you want to come and have it? You come sit at the table? Yeah. Wes is on it already. All right, so just so everyone is aware, this is a conditional use hearing for an application for Funk Brewery to open and operate a craft brewery within the borough. Am I not booming enough? No. Okay.
It's for the video.
Okay. Before we go ahead and open this up to testimony from the applicant and any questions that council may have, is there anyone in the audience who has any public comment on the application by Craft Brewery or any objection thereto? Anybody wishes to be heard on that at all? Okay. Under the municipality's planning code, there is a requirement for a conditional use hearing that a stenographer take a stenographic record of the proceeding. There's been a scheduling error. There is not a stenographer available today. I would ask you, are you willing to waive the requirement for a stenographer and proceed with the hearing on the audio and videotape that we keep?
Yes.
Okay, great. Would you just raise your right hand? Before we take any testimony today, we got to swear you in. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. Would you please state your full name for the record and spell your last name?
It's Kyle Joseph Funk, last name spelling F-U-N-K.
Okay. And Mr. Funk, you're not represented by counsel tonight, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. This hearing is essentially for you, and the purpose of the hearing is for you to present evidence to council showing that you meet the requirements of the zoning ordinance for a conditional use. Do you understand that?
I think so.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
I've done that already through my application, but
Well, and this is, the reason for a public hearing is kind of in response to your application. It gives the public a chance to comment as well, which they don't. So for you tonight, since there are no objectors, no public comment, this is pretty much just a chance for you to explain to the board, council, the purpose of the project, what you intend to do, and state how you require or how you meet the requirements of the zoning ordinance. And if you're unclear of those, I can help point you to the requirements that we need to meet. Because one of the things that I have to do then is issue a written opinion, either with council's guidance, either recommending approval or denial of your permit. Okay? So it's all yours.
what I plan to do is adopt the zoning ordinance, which I filed an application for conditional use. And right now, we currently operate under beverage bottling in the BC district, address 19 South 6th Street. We currently operate and manufacture malted beverages for sale, for wholesale. What I'd like to do is adopt this new zoning ordinance to be able to operate as a craft brewery as defined in this zoning ordinance, which will include potentially include a brew pub and a tasting room. I've submitted my application in full. The application was accepted. It was reviewed by Planning Commission. The Planning Commission voted in favor, 5-0. That's about all I can say for right now.
Okay. Before we get to any specific requirements, are there any questions from council, any concerns about the application or any of the materials that went along with that?
Anybody?
Anyone?
No. No.
I have one question. The document on the back here, the memorandum states, requires that a craft brewery shall meet the parking requirements. The drawing that we have here in the back of the building, it has is it slotted for 8? Is that what it is? It says the edge
Yes,
of paving,
8 plus handicap.
8 plus handicap,
Yes.
okay. And does that meet the requirements then?
Zoning, ZO section 602.6A
Yep.
exempts the parking requirements of table 6.1 for use within the BC zoning district, so no additional parking is required.
No additional,
For the
okay.
proposed use.
Alrighty. That was the only question I had. And you're currently doing that now, or you're putting that parking in, or?
Yes, we should, as we showed on the plan, we'll put it in the back, yep.
Okay.
Yep.
When will that parking be finished and functional?
Finish as soon as you'd like.
I mean, I figure it's something that is, I mean, what was
Yeah, I
your,
would say-
what was
I
your?
would say by month's end.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
it's that
by
close,
month's end.
cool.
Fixture.
Anyone else with any questions at all?
No.
Concerns? If I may, Mr. Funk, I understand there was a question, and I'm not sure where it originated, about proposed access to the facility. My understanding is it's through a garage door, is that correct?
No, we have a front man door.
A front man door?
Yep.
Okay,
With the approved handicap ramp.
okay,
Yep.
great.
Yep. Yeah, I saw those comments from the planning commission. Yeah, we have an approved front man door. with
Okay,
the
because I know there was
handicap.
some concern raised about crowd control and those kinds of things, but that's, okay.
Yeah, the garage door, we've had it open because of the weather,
Mhm.
but it's really weather permitting,
Okay,
so,
so it's not a primary access exit?
the,
Okay.
yep, the front door is.
Okay. If maybe you can just put some testimony on the record about a couple of things that the zoning ordinance requires, which would help me write the opinion, help the council make their decision.
Sure.
One of the general conditional use requirements is that the use not generate or create a worse traffic problem than currently exists. Can you speak to that at all?
We currently operate and manufacture malted beverage as of right now. That's not going to change. With the addition, the public basically will not have access to our site during those hours. With the addition of the parking in the rear and some signage, we're hoping to alleviate any potential problems that could exist.
Okay. Another general requirement for all conditional uses, and again, this may or may not apply in your case, but just for the record, is there any chance that the new proposed use will create any public safety hazard that doesn't currently exist?
No chance.
Okay. Will it create any stormwater management issues?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
And finally, is there any chance that the proposed use would have any negative impact on the character of the existing neighborhood?
No, I
Okay.
don't believe so.
Do you want to, can you put maybe just a little bit of testimony on the record as to what the neighborhood currently is
Yeah.
and how you think that will or will not be impacted at all by the use?
The neighborhood is currently a mix of commercial and residential. My immediate neighbors are both commercial, one being a pizza restaurant and the other being a convenience store. And directly across from us is a Verizon facility.
Okay.
The residential is down the alleyway slightly.
Okay.
So I don't believe any impact will come of that.
Okay, well, as far as the general requirements of the zoning ordinance for conditional use, that's really all that would even arguably apply. There are no specific requirements for your use in general. So again, I'll give the council members another chance if there are any questions. Otherwise, I believe the record is sufficient for the hearing tonight.
Anyone have any comments?
Actually, I'm just gonna ask one. So for the parking, just because I think that that's, of all the things that over the years that we ever get questions about, parking is always a concern. That space is currently fenced in. And I
Yes.
think I heard you say it, but just so I understand it, that would be, so during hours of operation is when that would be open? Is there a gate actually there that prohibits?
There's two gates.
Right, the main gate,
Yep, the main gate to the storage facility,
Mhm.
and then the gate to our parking lot.
right.
Our lease, we have right of ingress and egress,
Mhm,
and so during our hours for the public,
mhm,
during normal operation, the gate is open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.
mhm.
at the storage yard. So we have an understanding with the storage yard, who is our landlord, that when we go beyond the 9 o'clock, the gates can remain, beyond 7 o'clock, the gates can remain open, so that our customers have ingress and egress to and from our parking area. So when we close the gates.
Gotcha. So it's your responsibility to keep those times and,
Yep.
gotcha. So if you're closed, there's no way for someone to go in there and park, correct? Because you've
Yep.
closed the gates.
That's correct, yep, we close. Yep.
Sure. Answers my question.
I have nothing. Anybody?
Anyone else? Okay. At this point, council, if you are prepared, you can make a decision tonight. You do not have to. Regardless of what council decides to do tonight, Mr. Funk, you will, by law, will get a written decision within 45 days of tonight's hearing. Okay? If any council members feel the need, if there needs to be deliberation on the topic, it would be appropriate for an executive session, if that's necessary. If not, again, you don't have to make a decision tonight.
Okay.
So, at this point, I would turn it over to you, madam.
Okay. Mr. Barrett, did you
I
want
guess
to?
just for clarification, if we were to approve it, we are just approving the conditional use for, I think it's 406.AAA? Is that the actual?
To operate the
I'm
craft
sorry,
brewery. and-
402.
Yep.
Right.
And that's all that we are currently approving is the requirements of the zoning section 402.AAA?
Yes. That's correct.
Okay.
We would actually vote, if we decide to vote tonight, we would do that later in our regularly scheduled meeting, correct?
You could,
Okay, all right.
Can we do it now?
you could do that now. It is appropriate to do it right at the conclusion of the hearing, or you could wait.
What's your wish, gentlemen? We
I would
usually
prefer to
wait.
do it now.
I would second that.
Would you like me to make a motion?
You need a motion?
I would like to approve, make a motion to approve the conditional use hearing for Funk Brewery at 19 South Sixth Street in Emmaus, that they are able to operate a craft brewery in accordance with zoning section 306, permitted uses and the requirements of the zoning section 402 AAA.
Is there a second? Second by Mr. Anders. Discussion. All those in favor? We have 5 ayes.
Okay.
That would conclude our hearing for this evening, dealing with this issue, so is,
I have one question for the solicitor. When would he be able to begin operations?
Technically, he is approved right now, even without the written opinion.
Okay.
The opinion is a formality, it's required by the statute, but you are approved, since they voted tonight, you are approved as of now,
Perfect, thank you.
okay?
Life's better, right?
We wish you the best of luck.
Still have some PLCV stuff to take care of, but that'll be done very soon.
All right.
anything further? Motion to adjourn the public hearing. Motion by Mr. Barrett, second by Mr. Anders. Discussion? All those in favor? We have 5 ayes.
Thank you, Mr. Funk.
Good luck, Mr. Funk.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
7:16, yes. All right. Now,
Princess now, where are we?
I'd like to call the November 30 Mass Borough Council meeting to order. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to And for the record, it is now 7:17. Mr. Labenberg still has not joined us, and Mr. Brown will not be joining us this evening. Personal Appeals Part 1. Anyone with a personal appeal, please step forward, sign in, state your name and address for the record, and you have 5 minutes.
My name is Mark Fisher. The address is 723 North 2nd Street, Emmaus. Making corrections. I spoke to the board last meeting, and I would like to make some corrections in additions to what I presented at that time. I'll wait till you. These actually are 2 pages if I'm in the back. Okay. I had thought that mail forwarding and address forwarding / correction were automatic. I was made aware that that was not the case. Thank you, Sean. I checked with the post office, and address correction only occurs when the piece of mail has the endorsement address correction requested, and there is a fee to the sender for that service. And I would have liked to have given you a number, but 5 phone calls in and no response back, the post office still can't tell me what that costs. So the important point is, no address corrections were lost, all right? They were never generated. Since that information is likely to be a duplicate and would happen every time an address change came, it is probably not that useful or cost-effective to the borough. Trying to contact the owner at the property address after failing to contact them at the billing address might be more cost-effective, since it would only occur when there was a problem in reaching the owner. Another way the borough could have figured out where I was living was by checking the address on the payment check. It would have been effective in my case. I walked in and paid my taxes in person in 2012 with a check showing the 723 North 2nd Street address. Also, I just received a late notice from Lehigh County with my new address that was corrected on October 7th, so they appear to send a reminder before the end of the 10% penalty stage of the process. I understand the council is looking into ways to improve the, I'll say, quote, friendliness of this process prior to legal involvement. Next, I'd stated an interest rate of 18%. I had some difficulty calculating the rate from the bill. I had based it on delinquent taxes plus penalties. That was incorrect. It is based on delinquent taxes plus penalties plus attorney fees, and the tax rate is 10% as mandated. I believe Mr. Dimick is planning to add some itemization / cost deal to his billing notices for clarity. Next, on the subject of the legal side of the process, I have to agree that it is legal since the law is mute on the subject of billing, notification to billing, or property address. I would like to thank Solicitor Dimich for his help on the issue and for his consideration in relieving me of the cost of the SCIFA. I have paid my 2013 borough tax for 1690 through Dimick and Dingelocker. I've paid my 2014 borough tax to Dennis Gouldy, and I've also paid the 2014 Lehigh County tax. So all taxes for 2013 and 14 are now current. I believe a tax lien is in process to be satisfied. I did check. It is not in place as of this time, but I'm assuming it is in process.
That is in process. That has been sent to Lehigh County Courthouse, has not been docketed by them yet.
Okay.
But they should have it in their hands.
Okay. And I assume that this would conclude all business between Dimich and Dingelocker and Mr. Stuba and myself over this tax issue. Since Mr. Dimick is not here, I guess I will relate to you. Sorry, I didn't know you rotated staff. So if you are up to speed, are you in agreement with?
As far as the law firm is concerned, the existing liens for the prior delinquent taxes are satisfied, and we're just waiting for a docketing statement from the court.
Okay, and that would relieve it. So at this point, those are my suggestions and what I think I've learned from the process. But the the check might be a good other way of looking and seeing where somebody actually is in terms of property versus billing address. That's all I have. I started it. I was going to clean it up and let you know what I had found. Anything more?
No, thank you.
No, nothing, thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any additional personal appeals? Hearing none. Moving to community minute. Any member of council have an item for community minute? Hearing none. Special presentations? We have nothing this evening, which brings us to the reading of the minutes from the October 20th council meeting. Is there a motion to dispense with the formal reading of those minutes? Motion by Mr. Shubsta. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Barrett. Discussion? All those in favor? We have 5 ayes. Additions or corrections? Hearing none, motion to adopt is drafted. Motion by Mr. Anders, second by Mr. Barrett. Discussion? All those in favor? We have 5 ayes. Decision on bids. We have no bids this evening. Is that correct, Mr. Pepe?
That is correct.
Communications. First letter in your binder comes from Pamela Miller. Please be advised that I, Pamela Miller, wish to be considered for an additional term on the Emmaus Board of Health. My current term expires January 1st of 2015. I will refer this to Health, Sanitation, and Conservation, Mr. Shubsta.
Thank you.
The next letter comes from Dustin Grimm. He is interested in serving on the General Authority. At this time, we don't have any vacancies, so we will keep his letter on file. Mr. Pepe, if you could do that. The next letter comes from Jean Shook. It is with deep regret that I resign my position as an Arts Commissioner effective immediately. As you know, my husband and I are in the process of relocating to Lewes, Delaware. Because I'm currently in transition, traveling back and forth from week to week, my schedule no longer permits attendance at EAC meetings and activities. During my time as Commissioner, I have been most impressed with the energy, expertise, and level of commitment demonstrated by EAC members. I don't know of any Lehigh Valley community of the size of Emmaus that has such an active organization advocating the arts. The EAC is most unique in that regard. Under the guidance and leadership, this group is impacting the Emmaus arts community in a big way, and I'm proud to have been part of that. Is there a motion to accept her resignation from the commission? Motion by Mr. Barrett. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Shubsta. Discussion? All those in favor? We have 6 ayes. Let the record show that Mr. Lavenberg joined us at 7:24. If you could send her a letter thanking her. Mr. Shubsta, do you have any idea how long she was on the commission?
It was about 2 years, I think.
Is that, okay.
Yep.
All right. If we could send her a letter thanking her for her service, Mr. Pepe? Does any member of council have an item for communication? Mr. Pepe, do you have anything further?
Yeah, I do not.
Mr. Mayor?
No, I do not.
And I do not as well. Which brings us to the Borough Engineers Report. We have no engineer this evening. Solicitors Report. Attorney Sturba. Hello.
Hello, thank you. I have no formal solicitor's report. The only update I have for council is that we are moving forward against the 56 South Cherry Street address. I have some documents for Shane to sign tonight, and that will be proceeding forward with a civil suit and a request for an emergency injunction, which will allow the borough to very quickly make any necessary repairs and/or demolitions to the property.
Very good. Thank you. Unfinished business, part 1. In your binder this evening is ordinance 1114. This is the ordinance dealing with the changes to the Civil Service Commission. This has been properly advertised, and this is second reading. Is there a motion to read ordinance 1114 in short title? Motion by Mr. Barrett. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Lavenberg. Discussion? All those in favor? We have 6 ayes. Bless you, Mr. Anders. And again, this is ordinance 1114, an ordinance repealing sections 351 through 356 of Chapter 1 of the codified ordinances involving the Civil Service Commission, rules and regulations, and adopting amended rules and regulations. Is there a motion to adopt ordinance 1114 as read? Motion by Mr. Barrett. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Anders. Discussion. This is a roll call vote. Mr. Shubsta.
Aye.
Mr. Anders.
Aye.
Mr. Leibenberg.
Aye.
Mr. Holtzapher.
Aye.
Mr. Barrett.
Aye.
Mrs. Gilbert votes aye. We have 6 ayes. Ordinance 1114 passes. New business, we have nothing on the agenda. Unfinished business, part 2, we have nothing on our agenda. Items not on the agenda subject to Rule 9. Any member of council have an item they wish to bring forward? Hearing none, mayor's report. Mr. Mayor? Nothing. All right. This will be a quick meeting this evening. Committee reports. Public Works, Mr. Leibenberg.
Committee will be meeting here Thursday, the 6th at 3:15. Progress.
Thank you. Health, Sanitation, and Conservation, Mr. Shubsta.
Thank you. The next meeting is scheduled for November 20th at 4:30 PM. Nothing to report. Progress.
Thank you. Parks and Recreation, Mr. Anders.
The next meeting, actually, for November 4th, is being canceled. We will meet in December for December 2nd.
Thank you.
Progress.
Very good. Public Safety, we already handled ordinance 1114. In your binder is an application for a part-time paramedic. Mr. Pepe, would you like to talk to us about Miss Berry? You interviewed her.
Absolutely, and I don't believe I gave you a memorandum with it this time for some
No.
reason. I'm not sure why. Miss Berry worked for the Borough of Emmaus for quite a long time. She was a full-time EMT. She was an excellent employee. The position was eliminated. That was the last of our full-time EMTs. She also worked as full-time EMT / office personnel. It was what her position was. She has since gone back to schooling, got her paramedic certification, works full-time in Northampton. And we will welcome her back with open arms as far as I'm concerned. Mr. Hoffman is very excited to have her back. She brings a wealth of knowledge. She always was a wealth of knowledge, from my understanding. Good work ethic. And it's my recommendation that we appoint her as a part-time paramedic.
Is there a motion to that effect? Motion by Mr. Anders, second by Mr. Leibenberg. Discussion? Mr. Leibenberg?
Where does that leave us numbers-wise? Are we pretty well staffed as far as part-timers? Are we still looking?
I think that's probably going to put us up to where we need to be in the paramedic area. Depending on how you decide with your budget process, whether it's to take care of the first shift with part-time or full-time, all of that, is dependent on the staffing level. The challenge really with the part-time paramedics is paramedics normally get full-time jobs somewhere. I mean, that's one of those positions where there's a higher demand than supply. So day shift is kind of the trick. Trying to get enough people to, remember we have to stay under the 30-hour thing, so they can only work really 2 days a week for us. So we need to fill 7 days. During the day, we're going to need to have 4 part-time paramedics to fill 7 days a week. So I mean that's the trick for that's the trick to it. So
Thank
I think we're there.
Okay.
Not quite sure though.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? We have 6 ayes. The next meeting is scheduled for November 5th at 3 p.m. I will report progress. General Administration, Mr. Barrett.
Yes, we have 2 items that require official action. The Gen Ed met this evening at 6:30. The first item is to contract Ray Geiger for a property appraisal in the amount of $2,000, which will be spread out over all 4 funds. Place that in the form of a motion.
Is there a second? Second by Mr. Labenberg. Discussion. All those in favor? We have 6 ayes.
The second is to contract Spielman Farmer in the amount of $9,900 to conduct a feasibility analysis study with the cost to be spread out over the 4 funds.
Can you place that in form of a motion?
Yes.
Is there a second? Second by Mr. Labenberg. Discussion. All those in favor? We have 6 ayes.
And just as a confirmation, there's nothing we need to do for the Funk Brewery now. That is completed.
That's correct. We're done.
Our next meeting is November 12th at 9 a.m. Progress.
Thank you. Budget and Finance, Mr. Holzapfel.
Thank you very much. I'll start with the bill list. I will read the resolution. Resolution 2014-42, resolved by Borough Council to authorize payment of the November 3rd, 2014 bill list as follows. Bill list, $293,403.22. Payroll number 22, $111,549.36. Payroll taxes, $38,187.49 for a total of $443,140.07. Done this 3rd of November 2014, and I will make that into the form of a motion.
Is there a second? Second by Mr. Shubsta. Discussion. All those in favor? We have 6 ayes.
All right, then next we are going to discuss the plan of budget and finance to return to Berkheimer as our per capita tax collector. We looked at options of in-house doing it with our employees. We looked at options of having Mr. Gouldy do it, and we then got, I'm assuming Mr. Pepe, you talked to Berkheimer to get a quote with a much lower price?
Yeah, they, as I told you before, they had immediately come back with a different price without even telling them that.
Okay, no, we were thinking about getting rid of them.
Well, no, we told them we were getting rid of them.
Okay.
And then it was
Right away,
overnight,
they came back
had
with
a
a
new price.
considerably lower price. So it is the decision of Budget and Finance to go with Berkheimer. I believe we were paying $1.30 per bill before, and now we're down to 95 cents per bill, which is cheaper than Mr. Gouldy would have done it for and less complicated than negotiating with the union and determining how to effectively pay the girls downstairs to do a job that they've never done before. So it's a recommendation of Budget and Finance to allow Mr. Pepe to enter into the agreement to have Berkheimer be the tax collector for the per capita tax for the Borough of Emmaus. And I'll make that into the form of a motion.
Is there a second? Second by Mr. Shubsta. Discussion. Mr. Labenberg.
Yeah, we had a lengthy discussion on this, on the different options, and well, Shane actually convinced me that we could do it in-house and for cheaper and for more convenience to our residents, because a lot of residents like coming to Borough Hall to pay their bills instead of mailing it somewhere to Bath or somewhere wherever we mail them to currently. So I will be voting no on this because I really think our staff has time to do it, and I know it's a union issue, but I think we should approach it.
Thank you. Any further? Mr. Anders?
Is this for 1 year only?
Yes.
This
Yes.
is 1 year,
Correct.
okay.
1 year.
And to Mr. Labenberg's point, what is your actual analysis, Mr. Pepe?
Yeah, so I've told you I've been back and forth on this a dozen times. I think we can end up ultimately doing it less expensive in-house. You are going to have to purchase some kind of software package. And we did get a quote, so your first year in-house would probably be more expensive, simply because you have to purchase a software package. I only checked out one package simply because we were just looking for a ballpark number. So year number 1, I think it would have been more expensive. Year number 2, I think the cost would have been lower. There were complications in terms of how are we going to handle it. You know, there were some bonding. You know, you're going to have to bond your employees. You're going to have to do some union negotiations. And I think in the Budget and Finance Committee discussion, I think really some of what it came down to wasn't just the complications with the union. We do have union negotiations coming up in 2016, but it was in year 1 you're going to lose money anyway. So do we just hold off until we have regular union negotiations and get into that as a deeper discussion with them? There were some unknowns, and obviously when you deal with the union, what we think they're going to want and what they really want are probably way two different things. So could they come back and demand $3 an hour extra to do work that we think is worth 25 cents an hour extra? You don't know that answer. We didn't enter those negotiations. We just surmised some figures. So I think my number was probably pretty solid. So I think we compromised in terms of we'll do it 1 year. We're going to save money. They claim that they fixed all the problems that they had, and then we revisit again next year. And that'll give us more time to maybe dig deeper and actually enter into the negotiations. Do we still have time to do that? Yeah, we do if you vote that way. It's not a do or die issue as far as time right now. We will have to make that decision in the near future, though.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Any further comments, questions, or concerns? We have a motion on the floor that's been properly seconded. All those in favor? We have 5 ayes. Those opposed? Mr. Ladenburg is opposed.
All right, now that we've chosen Berkheimer, to go along with this process are 4 resolutions that we need to approve. Do I need to make a motion to read each one in short title and then read it short title? Is that how I have to do this?
No, it's just a motion to adopt Resolution 2014-43.
Oh, wonderful. So you're making that motion, or you'd like me to?
No, sir, you must. I
No, I know.
can't.
Then first will be a motion to adopt Resolution 2014-43, which is to appoint Berkheimer as our tax hearing officer. So I'll make that motion.
Is there a second? Second by Mr. Schubsta. Discussion. All those in favor? We have 6 ayes.
Next would be Resolution 2014-44, which is a resolution empowering us to enter into the agreement with Berkheimer as our exclusive tax officer for the per capita tax, and I will make that into the form of a motion.
Is there a second? Second by Mr. Schubsta. Discussion. All those in favor? We have 6 ayes.
Next would be Resolution 2014-45, which is a resolution that deals with sharing of confidential tax information for official purposes with Berkheimer, and I'll make that into the form of a motion.
Is there a second? Second by Mr. Anders. Discussion. All those in favor? We have 6 ayes.
And my last resolution is Resolution 2014-46, which relates to allowing Berkheimer to impose and retain costs for those that are delinquent on their per capita tax. And I believe, Mr. Pepe, everyone got a copy of that fee on your schedule on your desk this evening.
Correct.
And I'll make that into the form of a motion.
Is there a second? Second by Mr. Schubsta. Discussion. All those, Mr. Anders?
Just one question. Does the fee schedule go somewhere on our website so residents can know? Do we have that somewhere? If
We
not-
probably don't, but we can.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Any further comments? All those in favor? We have 6 ayes.
I believe that is it for my committee this evening. Except for Mr. Ladenburg's hand.
Mr. Ladenburg?
The budget worksheet that we got dated October 14th. Just a couple notes here, positive notes, that on the earned income tax, we are only 30,000 away from the 1.2 million that we budgeted, which means we'll probably be, I'm going to estimate about $250,000 over that for the rest of the year. We are also, on our local services tax, only 15,000 away and making our budgeted 230,000. I'm not sure how we receive that, but if it's monthly, I see us going over on that line item also. So there's some good things here. Also, the real estate transfer tax, we are already over what we budgeted. We budgeted 125,000, and we're over that by $245 with 2 more months to go. Well, 2.5, because this is only halfway through October. So positive numbers, and by the way, I did predict that last year, if you remember. In all those line items.
Yes, you did. I do remember that, Mr. Ladenburg.
Get out your crystal ball, we could use money again.
Well, I'm sure he has his crystal ball.
Now I'll report progress.
Thank you. Community Relations Planning and Development, in Mr. Brown's absence. Mr. Anders, is there a report from that committee?
Nothing for official action. We will be meeting November 12th at 4 p.m. Progress.
Thank you. Personal Appeals Part 2. Anyone with a personal appeal, please step forward, sign in, state your name and address for the record, and you have 5 minutes. Hearing none. Moving to Borough Manager's Report, Mr. Pepe.
Your next budget workshop is on November 13th. Planned for another long one, I would imagine. That's where I get to discuss the major issues with you. Also, as you know, well, now publicly, we did receive the $238,000, was that right? $238,000
Yes.
PennDOT grant for the 10th Street culvert. So we're very happy to report that. That's a major swing for us in the budget. So we're happy to announce that. That means that that project can get done more cost effectively on our behalf, because that was a project that no matter what we were doing next year had to be budgeted. And we had held it off with the slim prayer that we would get a grant this year. And like we said, you know, you got to play the lottery to win the lottery, I guess. I think we'll be able to start getting the engineer work done, the DEP permitting process, get all that finished. We have to wait until we get the contracts to sign before we can move forward with any of the rest of that work. So we're going to be able to move forward, though. That's good news.
Mr. Barrett?
And we are sticking with the same timetable that we had talked about, which would be end of next school year.
Yeah, we certainly don't want to close. We certainly don't want to close that street down during the school year. Just like we're going to hold off on the North Street paving until June. So we'll try to do those at the same time to really mess things up in that neighborhood. But that's positive news. That's good news. That's going to help us with the budget process, and hopefully, maybe get some other capital projects completed next year. Your significant revenues and expenses report in your binder. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Otherwise, progress.
Any questions for the manager? Hearing none, under President's Business, I do need an executive session to discuss a legal matter. Other than that, I have nothing for anyone this evening. So we are in recess at... Do you anticipate official action when we return? No, sir, I do not. Recess at, what is that, 7:44? Thank you. We're reconvening at 8:10 after an executive session. There's no official action needed. I have nothing further for this evening, so is there a motion to adjourn? Motion by Mr. Barrett. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Labenberg. Discussion? All those in favor? We got 6 ayes. We are adjourned at 8:11.